presume. So same as usual, trying to find your comfortable position, whether you're seated or lying down. See if you can find the seat bends if you're seated, to see if you can try and give yourself a little bit more space at the front. So encouraging the diaphragm to be able to move up and down to create that breath instead of using your neck muscles and your chest muscles. If you're lying down, allowing the arms to come down by the side, encouraging the shoulders to roll out to the front of the chest to open up a little bit more. And then notice that breath and notice how the body's feeling. I feel a bit twisted. I'm leaning slightly to the right. I can feel more weight on my left shoulder. I can feel more weight on my right hip. Just noticing where the body is. I don't want to change the position. I'm just trying to notice where I am and how I feel at the moment. And then focusing on that breath to see if I can try and encourage that nice, relaxed belly breath. So feeling the belly expanding with the inhalation and then relaxing with the exhalation. I'm not forcing it out. I'm not trying to push it out. I'm just going to let it come out with the breath. As I feel a little bit more relaxed, so I can feel that the breath feels a little bit looser, a little bit easier, then I'm going to start working through the shoulder into the arms. I'm going to start raising, the right arm, the left arm up to the front, and then I'm going to reach it back as far as I feel comfortable. It doesn't matter if I can't go very far. Then easing the arm back, and then with the left, I'm going to do the same. If I'm lying down, I'm going to let the weight of the arm drop into the shoulder socket to see if I can create a nice smooth movement. If I'm coming up, I can't quite do that because I have to load the arm. So the arm feels heavier as I'm working against the gravity. But see if I can make sure that as the arm comes up, it doesn't feel as I'm lifting it with the neck. So picturing the shoulder joint to see if I can picture the arm moving into the shoulder socket. So keeping the elbow bent slightly, keeping the arm slightly lower. It doesn't matter, just to see if I can keep it smooth. And then at the same time, think of the front of the chest, the lifting and opening. So as the right arm comes up, I'm going to try and lengthen and open up across the right side. As the left arm comes up, I'm going to try and lengthen and open up along the left side. 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back, returning the arms by the side, allowing the arms to relax, and then this time focusing just on the neck, so making sure that the arm moving and not creating stiffness and tension into the neck. I'm going to start turning the head gently from one over to the other side. Starting with a little movement and then progressively see if I can maybe make it a little bit bigger. But same as usual, see if you can be aware of the head turning, but not the shoulders. So I'm going to try and look around at the right shoulder, but I don't want the right shoulder to come back with me. I'm trying to look around at the left shoulder, but I don't want the left shoulder to pull back. So turning one, coming back, turning the other way, one side, and then the other. One more time on each side. Turning to look over one, turning to look over the other side, coming back to the middle, and then releasing back. And then going back into the arm, going back into the shoulder again. This time, instead of going for a front raise, I'm going to go into a lateral raise. So scooping the right or the left arm out to the side, I'm going to swing it around the side, bring it towards the head, and then come back. I'm going to do the same thing with the left, swinging it around the side and then bring it towards the head. If you're lying down, imagine with the back of the arm, with the side of the arm to be wiping the floor next to the body. If I find that keeping the arm that close to the ground, it's a little bit too much for the shoulder, so I can feel it clicking, I can feel it catching, it doesn't feel smooth, then I'm going to allow the arm to come slightly away from the floor. We're trying to keep it as close to the ground as possible. If I'm seated up, imagine to have the back against the wall. So see if I can try and wipe the wall behind with one arm, and then see if I can do the same thing, working with the other arm. The same as you did for the front raise, so keeping the arm bent if I need to, keeping the lifter small if I feel that the arm feels quite heavy, the shoulder feels quite stiff, and then same as before, making sure that it doesn't feel as if the movement is coming from my neck or from my face or from my jaw. 4, 3, 2, last one, and releasing back, releasing the shoulders, same as before, making sure that I've not created tension into the neck. This time I'm going to try and vary the direction. Instead of just moving the head side to side, I'm going to go for a little circle. So imagine a pencil strapped to the tip of the nose. I'm going to start to drawing circles in front of me. If I'm lying down, I'm keeping the head on the floor. So I'm not lifting the head. I don't want to load the neck. I want the neck to relax. If I'm seated up, I'm just going to keep the head on top of the shoulder and then a little circle around, making sure that, again, nothing is clicking, catching or grinding as the head moves. Reversing the circle, going the other way. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back, returning the head back to the middle. There's a little bit more movement into the shoulder girdle, into the neck. I'm going to try and see if I can get the back a little bit more involved too. What I want is encourage extension first. So I want to open up and lift through the chest. So same as you did before, instead of one arm at a time, I'm going to go for a front raise with both arms. So I'm going to raise both arms up and towards the ceiling, and then I'm going to send the chest forward. So if I'm lying down, I'm going to try and lift the back of the ribcage off the mat, pushing the chest, pushing the ribcage up and towards the ceiling. If I'm sitting up, I'm going to try and stick the chest forward, push the chest forward, see if I can create a nice lift to the front of the body. And then I'm going to ease back down. Then again, I'm going to raise it up and then easing back down. Same as before, it doesn't matter if I can't lift the arms very high, but this time, see if I can think of that lift at the front of the chest. Imagine the breast going to become longer at the front. It's not possible, it's a bow, so it doesn't lengthen. But see if I can think of that nice opening, see if I can create that space at the front of the chest, down along the front of the throat, in between the ribs, and stretching the intercostal muscles. 5, 4, 3, 2, last one, and releasing down, relaxing the shoulders, releasing the arms, same as before, just making sure that I've not created tension and stiffness into the neck. I'm going to change the direction of the movement slightly. I'm going to start opening up the front of the throat and back of the neck. So no matter if I'm seated or lying down, I'm just going to press the chin down into the back of the throat, just as if I was trying to give myself a double chin. And then see if I can create a nice and gentle traction into the back of the neck. So I'm trying to flatten my cervical spine. Then I'm going to lift the chin up and away, and then I'm going to try and lengthen the front of the throat. So see if I can open up the front of the neck. Then again, I'm going to tuck the chin in, lengthening the back, and then reaching the chin forward, looking up, looking back. Trying to lengthen through the front of the throat. Same as usual, making sure that especially as you're trying to look up, look behind, nothing seems to be catching at the back of the neck, since there is no pins and needles coming down the arms or into the fingertips, so I'm not compressing anything at the base of the spine, at the base of the skull. And then at the same time, see if I can be aware of the tension of the stretch at the front of the throat. So if I keep my jaw relaxed, so if I keep my mouth slightly open as I look up, the traction seems to be easier, lighter. If I keep my lips sealed as I look up, the traction suddenly starts feeling a little bit stronger at the front. So see if you can find a nice easy traction. You can feel the release at the front of the neck, at the front of the throat. And you might even find that one side seems to be pulling slightly harder than the other. So noticing if the head feels as if it's slightly going off in one direction, or if it's truly because one side of the neck may be just a little bit stiffer than the other. 2 more times. So I'm going to look up, look behind, tuck the chin in, look up, look behind, tuck the chin in, and releasing back, and giving the shoulders a little bit of a roll, adjusting the position of the head if you need to. And then from extension, I'm going to go into lateral flexion. So I'm going to use the same arms that we practiced before, that lateral raise, but this time I'm going to follow through. So I'm going to scoot the right arm out to the side. If you're lying down, you might want to use that left hand to support the head. And then this time, I'm not just going to scoop the arm, I'm not just waving the arm, I'm going to try and follow with the rest of the body. So I'm going to flex it to the side. Then easing back to the middle, scooping the other arm, and then I'm going to flex it the other way. So if I'm seated up, imagine the back to be against that imaginary wall again. So see if I can keep my back on the wall as I'm moving from side to side. Each time, see if I can create a nice stretch coming down the back of the shoulder into the side of the rib cage, separating the ribs, stretching the intercostal muscles. If I'm lying down, I'm just going to use one hand to support the head, so the neck doesn't need to strain, and then see if I can flex my way a little bit deeper to one side, and then flex my way a little bit deeper the other way. Reaching over with the arm, creating a nice long pull up the right side, reaching long with the arm, creating a nice long pull up the left side. 4, 3, 2, last one. And releasing back and dropping the head down, relaxing the shoulders, releasing the back. It's a little bit more movement into the back and into the shoulders. I'm going to start focusing on the legs a little bit more this time. I'm going to start off with a little knee lift. So seated or lying down, the knees are bent. Feet and knees are a comfortable distance. I'm going to take a deep breath in, and then as I breathe out, I'm going to try and pull up on the right side. So I'm going to try and come up onto the ball of the right foot to see if I can lift on my big toe, and then if I can, I'm going to lift that big toe off the ground. Then I'm going to ease that leg back, and then with the left, I'm going to do the same. So I'm going to try and see if I can get the heel of the foot, the ball of the foot, and then the big toe to lift away, and then easing back. And then onto the other side. If you know that you can't control the leg, so the leg tends to extend away, tends to do a little bit of what it wants to do, use the hands or use the band. Is not easy as you've got to swap it every time. But see if you can maybe use the hands around the back of the leg. So I'm going to use the hands to help me lift to the right, and then I'm going to pop it back down, and then I'm going to use the hands to lift to that left, and then pop it back down again. If you find that with the hands you can't reach, then use the band. just to repeat a few on one side. So I'm just going to do a few on the right. And then I'll be swapping the band over and I'll be doing a few on the left. So the two legs are still working with the assistance of the band. So think of the front of the hip closing, the front of the hip and the front of the belly working together to create that lift. Popping it back, the front of the hip, the front of the belly working to create that lift on the other side. I'm going to try 4 more. Just 1, and coming back. The other, and back. 1 more time on each side. And releasing down, relaxing the hips and releasing the legs, allowing the hips a little rest. I'm going to try and work in reverse. So instead of focusing on the front of the hip, this time I'm going to focus on the back of the hip, the back of the bone. So pushing down through the soles of the feet, I'm going to squeeze my bum cheeks together as if I was trying to lift off the chair, as if I was trying to lift the hips off the ground. So I'm going to push down through the soles of the feet. I'm going to squeeze the lift and then come back. Same as usual, if you're sitting on the chair, you can use the arms by the side if you've got space to give a little support. So see if I can physically lift the seat bones slightly off the ground or take the pressure off the seat bones. Or if I'm close to a chair, a table, I can put my hands on the table and then lean forward into the table to see if I can come up just a little bit more. If I'm lying down, I'm going to start with the little lift. So see if I can get just the back of the hips to pull away from the ground. And then I'm just going to pop them back down. And then maybe progressively see if I can come up a little bit higher. So see if I can get the hips or maybe the lower back off the floor. And then I'm going to ease back. And then see if I can get the hips of the lower back and the back of the rib cage off the mat. So driving up through the hips, so feeling the front of the hips opening. Imagine your thighs lengthening out of the hip socket, reaching away. And then I'm going to ease back. And then same as usual, it doesn't matter if you're sitting or lying down, but especially if you're lying down, notice the difference between the right and the left side. You might find that one side feels as if it's almost trying to crump up, or it is crumping up. Try to focus on the back of the bum on that side, as the cramping on the hamstring is normally a sign that the bum muscle is not doing its job. So the hamstring has to do 2 jobs. It's too much, eventually it will crump up. So see if I can really focus on the bum squeezing, clenching, exaggerating that tension. See if I can feel it tensing to create that little squeeze, that little lift. 2 more times. Last one. And releasing back, releasing the legs, releasing the hips. It's a little bit more activation at the back of the hips too. I'm going to go back into the front of the hip, but this time I'm going to try and combine the legs and the upper body together. So I'm going to reset to the position same as before. The knees are bent, feet and knees about the hips with the back. If I need the band, I'm just going to center the band around the back of the right leg. And then I'm going to hold it with my right hand. If I don't need the band, I'm just going to focus on my right arm and my right leg. So imagine the band to be there. Imagine to be like a puppet. I'm going to start raising the arm up, and then as the arm goes up, I want the right leg to come up too. Then I'm going to ease back, and then I'm going to try again, repeating on the same side. So I'm going to lift the arm, and then I want the leg to come up too. And then I'm just going to ease back down. So same as before, the leg might lift, it might not lift, it might feel heavy, might feel light. But it's whatever it is, I'm going to try and do the best I can. So picturing the right hip closing to allow the leg to lift, picturing that tension right deep into the front of the hip that is allowing me to lift that leg. The tension at the front of the belly to help me stabilize that lift, just making sure that the body doesn't collapse backwards if I'm sitting up. It doesn't feel as if the back is taking the pressure, taking the strain. if I'm lying down. 5, 4, 3, 2, last one, and releasing back, allowing the hip a little rest and the leg to have a little rest and to relax. I'm going to try exactly the same thing with the left side. So if I need a little support, I'm just going to feed the band behind that left thigh. And then this time I'm going to hold it with the left arm. And then same as before, once I feel that I've got the leg set, I'm going to start raising the left arm or the left leg to come up with the arm. Then I'm going to ease back and then try again. So as if I was puppeting that left leg this time, as the arm moves, the leg follows. And then I'm just going to release them down. And then same as usual, just noticing the difference between the right and the left side. You might find that this leg feels lighter, heavier, stiffer, smoother movement. It's a bit clicky, it's a bit grindy. I'm not forcing, I'm just trying to picture the leg moving into the hip socket, the hip closing as the leg comes up, and then opening back as the leg drops back down. 5, the belly is active, so the back feels supported, there is no pressure on the back. 3, 2, last one, and releasing back, relaxing the legs and releasing the hip and releasing the shoulders. I've got a nice good connection, right to right and left to left. I'm going to try again, but this time I'm going to cross the connection. So instead of lifting the right arm and the right leg, I'm going to lift my left arm and my right leg together. So opposite sides. So if you're using the band, this time I'm just going to feed the band behind the right leg into the left hand. So opposite hand, opposite leg. And then same as before, I'm going to try and puppet that leg out. So with the left arm, I'm going to lift up. I want my right leg to come up. Then easing back, and then trying again. I want the left arm and the right leg to move this time. And then coming back. And then just noticing the cross connection. Some people might find that it was easier to work the same side. Some people find that it's easier to work across. So my leg wasn't lifting when I was doing right arm, right leg. But now that I'm doing left arm, right leg, it seems to be moving, seems to be responding better. Or vice versa. So see if I can picture that cross connection. So I'm pulling across from the right leg, across the belly, to the left side of the chest, all the way to the left arm. 4, 3, 2, last one, and releasing down, relaxing the hip, releasing the shoulder, and then I'm going to try and find the same connection but crossing the other way. So again, if you need the band, popping the band behind that left leg, holding it with the right arm. And then once I'm ready, I'm just going to pull the right arm up and then that left leg up at the same time. Then ease in the back and then trying again. The right arm and the left leg, and then coming back. So see if I can find that connection, feeling the left hip shortening to lift that leg up, the side of the belly connecting, the front of the chest and the arm working together to create that imaginary lift. 5, 4, 3, 2, last one. And releasing back, releasing the hips, releasing the legs, relaxing the shoulders. There's a little bit more connection across the front of the body. I want a little bit more connection again at the back of the body. So similar movement to what I did before, but this time instead of trying to work with both legs at the same time, I want to try and work in isolation. So I want to work with one leg at a time. So instead of pushing down with both feet, I'm just going to push down with one foot as if I was trying to stand on my right leg or left leg. Then I'm going to ease back. I'm going to push down to the other foot as if I was trying to stand on the other leg, and then coming back. So see if you can try and load. So how much weight can I carry on my right? How much weight can I carry on the left leg? If you're lying down, exactly the same as you did when both feet were pushing you to the ground. See if I could just focus on the right bum cheek, drive in the lift. That left leg is just hanging in there, it's just the following through. Coming back, pushing down through that left foot. See if I can get that left bum cheek to tense to create that lift, and then easing back. And then noticing even more the tension of the back of the leg. As we're doing single leg stuff, if one side is weaker than the other, it will be noticeable straight away, as the hamstring will tend to tighten up or plump up very quickly. So if you can feel that the back of the leg is getting tighter, really try to focus on the bum. Can I clench the bum a little bit harder? Can I make sure that it's really firing, it's really going, it's really switching on? And then I'm going to release down. And then again, clenching tight on the other side. And then easing back down. 2 more times on each side. So pushing down with the right. And then coming back. Pushing down with the left. And coming back 1 more time. Pushing down with the right. And back. Pushing down with the left. And releasing back. Giving the legs a little walk, making sure that the back of the leg doesn't feel too stiff, too tight. If you're lying down, hanging the knees to the chest, and giving the lower back a little bit of a release, a little bit of a stretch. It's a little bit more connection at the back of the body. I want to try and focus a little bit more into the back of the shoulders, so working at the other end. So this time I'm going to raise the arms up in front of me. And then I'm going to start opening the arms out nice and wide. If I'm lying down, I'm aiming for the arms to open nice and wide until they're hovering or just a kiss in the floor, kiss in the mat, and then I'm going to squeeze them back to the ceiling. If I'm sitting up, it doesn't matter if the arms are at shoulder level, they could be a little bit lower. But what I want is to really trying to think of the shoulder blades squeezing together behind us. So see if I can create a nice opening across the front of the chest. And then I'm going to close them back, and then I'm going to open them again. Close them back, and then open them again. So as if I was trying to create a nice attraction that goes from across the front of the chest or from the center of the breastbone up through the chest muscles, into the front of the shoulder and into the arms. So see if I can really try to lengthen through. If you're lying down, you're limited with space. Obviously, once that my arms touch the ground, I can't go any further than that. So imagine the arms to be put into traction. So imagine somebody pulling at your arms. So they're trying to pull your arms out of your shoulder socket. So I'm going to try and reach them out and down as far as I can, and then coming back. So imagine to be making the front of the body wider. So I'm trying to make myself bigger at the front, and then I'm going to close back. 2 more times. So I'm going to open and close. Last time. Open and close. And releasing back, relaxing the shoulders, releasing the arms, and then I'm going to switch the effort, working onto the legs this time. So if you're lying down, bending the knees and walking the feet nice and close together, so see if you can bring the legs nice and close to begin with. And then from there, I'm just going to start going into a little knee drop. So with my right knee, I'm going to open up to the right as far as I can. Then I'm going to close the knees back together. So I want the inside of the knees to squeeze together to touch. And then I'm going to open that left knee out to the left. Then come back to the middle. I'm going to squeeze the knees together again. And then I'm going to open it to the right. Same as you did for the knee lift. If I find that the hip feels quite restricted, or I feel that I don't seem to be able to get the leg to move in that direction, I'm just going to encourage the movement with the arms. So I'm just going to help my leg to move out with my hand, or I'm going to help it to move in if that's the direction I'm struggling the most. And then same to the other side. I'm going to help it going out if I feel that I'm struggling or I'm very stiff. And then I'm going to help it coming in if I feel that don't seem to be able to pull it back. This time, see if you can think of the effort coming from the inner thighs. So I'm trying to work through the inner thighs, and at the same time stabilizing from the front or from the side of the belly. So as the leg moves, the hips are not going anywhere. So if I'm sitting on the chair, I'm in a pretty safe position as my seat ribs are down, so it's only the leg that's moving. But if I'm lying down on the back, see if I can use the belly to help me stabilize the hips a little bit more. So making sure that the leg opens to the side. It doesn't feel as if all of the body is going that way. So see if I can think of the hips are staying still. So the pressure stays at the back of the bum as the right leg opens out. I'm going to squeeze the knees back together, and then I'm going to open up the left to the other side. The hips are staying on the ground. I'm going to squeeze the knees back together, and then open into the other side again. 4. 3. 2. Last one. And releasing back, releasing the hips, releasing the inner thighs. It's a little bit more connection into the hips, into the legs. I'm going to try and see if the same as before, I can start coordinating the upper body with the legs. So raising the arms straight ahead in front of you. I'm going to take a deep breath in, and then as I breathe out, I'm going to open my right arm and my right leg out to the side. So I'm going to send the right side out. Then I'm going to squeeze the knees back together, bring the arms up again, and then I'm going to open up with the left side. So I'm going to reach out with the left arm, open up with the left leg, closing back to center, squeeze the knees together, and then opening up to the other side. So same as before, imagine to be carpeting your leg. So my arm starts pulling to the side, and when the leg moves to 2, then I'm going to come back to the center. The arm pulls to the side, the leg moves to 2. Coming back to the center. And then same as before, if I feel that I'm struggling with that movement, the leg doesn't seem to be wanting to go there or to come back, instead of opening the arm to the side, I'm just going to pop my hand onto the inside of the leg. I'm going to open the arm and the leg together, and then I'm going to close the arm and the leg together. And with the other side, I'm going to open the arm and the leg together, and then close the arm and the leg together. 4, squeeze in the knees back in again. 3, squeeze them together again. 2, squeeze together. Last one, squeeze together, and releasing back, releasing the shoulders, releasing the hips. Again, it's a little bit more connection, right to right, left to left. Same as I did for the little arm and leg raise. I'm going to try and see if I can connect across. So this time, instead of opening the right arm and the right leg, I'm going to open my right arm and my left leg. So I'm going to go opposite sides. So with my right hand, I'm going to try and touch the right side of the room. With my left knee, I'm going to try and touch the left side. Then I'm going to bring them back in, and then with the left arm, I'm going to try and touch the left side of the room. With the right knee, I'm going to push the opposite way. Coming back, and then opening out. So imagine like a massive rubber band that goes from the hand along the arm, across the front of the chest, across the belly, towards the inside of the leg, towards the inside of the knee. I'm going to put tension into the band as I open, and then I'm just going to let the band recoil as I come back. So see if you can imagine that band crossing one way and then another band crossing the other. So I'm going to pull the band into tension and then let it recoil back. Pull the band into tension, and then I'm going to let it recoil back. 2 more times. Open and close. Last one. Open and close. Releasing the arms, so releasing the legs. It's a little bit more connection through the inside and the side of the hip. But what I want is create a little bit more movement through the hips and into the back. So if you're lying down on the back, we're going to work a little bit into rotations. So imagine the legs are not to be there. So my legs are really floppy. I can't move them at all. They're just like a dead weight hanging in there. I'm going to move my right arm out of the way, reach that left arm up to the front, and then with that left arm, I'm going to reach across the front of the body, taking the head with me. I'm going to keep reaching as if with the left hand, I'm going to try and touch the right side of the room. So imagine to be in bed. I can't use the legs. I have to use my upper body to roll onto my side. Then I'm going to ease my way back onto the mat, and then swapping over, moving the left arm out of the way, raising the right arm. I'm going to reach it across, so taking the head with me. Look where you want to go, see if you can reach, see if you can pull yourself in that direction, rolling over onto that left side, easing back to the middle, and then I'm going to repeat the same thing to the other side. If you're seated up, I'm going to pull the arm. So with the right arm, I'm going to reach across as if I was trying to touch or grab hold of something to the left side of the room. With the left arm, I'm going to try and reach across as if I was trying to grab hold of something on the right side. So crossing over, trying to reach one way, and then crossing over, trying to reach the other. So see if I can encourage that rotation into the upper back. So see if I can free some of the stiffness of the rib cage, the back of the shoulders, the middle of the back. And then noticing which direction feels easier, especially if you're lying down. As you're rolling sideways, one side always feels easier than the other. So on one side, I have to put very little effort to reach around. On the other side, I can feel my leg is kind of like almost like twitching slightly to help. See if I can think of the legs as staying relaxed. It's just the upper body acting to create that movement. 4. 3. 2. Last one. And release it back. Returning the arms down by the side, adjusting the shoulders, adjusting the hips. And then when you're ready, I'm just going to see if I can create a little bit more of a twist, but this time focusing more on the hips than the shoulder. So keeping your left leg extended along the floor if you're lying down. I'm going to curl the right knee up and twist the chest. Jiggling the leg around until you feel that the leg is kind of like, it feels as if it's dropped into the hip socket. I'm going to let the right arm out to the side to counterbalance. And then I'm just going to gently start pulling the left leg across, spiral over to the left as I feel comfortable. So I want the hips, I want the pelvis to rotate too. I'm going to try and stretch down the side of the leg and then across the back at the same time. So I'm going to twist, but this time I'm going to try and twist it from the hips and from the other end. If you're sitting up, if I can lift the right leg, I'm going to cross the right leg over the left. And then with the left arm, I'm just going to pull myself across. With the right arm, I'm going to reach behind. So I'm going to try and push the legs over one way and then turn with the shoulder the other. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Easing back to the middle, swapping the legs around. So I'm going to extend the right leg from lying down. Bring the left leg up, finding a comfortable position, crossing over if I'm seated or keeping the legs close together. Gently pulling that left leg across to the side, and then turning to look over the left shoulder, twisting the other way. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release it back. Releasing the twist, adjusting the hips, resetting the shoulders. When you're ready, rolling over onto your side, all the way up into sitting. Finding your comfortable seated position, so making sure that you're sitting reasonably up onto the seat bones so I don't feel as if I'm going to fall backwards. Using the arms at the back to give a little support if I feel that I need that support as I'm rolling back a bit too much. And then once that you feel secure on top of the hips, as if you can start lifting and opening. So I'm going to try and extend my way up. I'm going to try and look forward. I'm going to try and look up. Think of the breastbone lengthening, the front of the throat lengthening and lifting. I'm just going to release, and then in reverse, I'm going to let the chin tap into the chest, the shoulders come forward, and then I'm just going to roll my way down, as if I was trying to drop my head onto the floor, my head onto my knees. If I'm sitting up, creating a gentle stretch down the back. I'm curling back up. I'm going to lift through the chest, open up, looking forward, looking up, looking back. And releasing, coming forward, letting the chin drop, the shoulders come forward. Again, I'm going to roll my way down as far as my back will allow me to, and then I'm curling my way back. Last time, looking forward, looking up, looking back. We're trying to open up and lift as much as you can. And then releasing forward. One hand to the belly, one hand to the back. Take your bow. Give yourself a clap or down. Any question or anything, please say. Remember, you need to unmute yourself.